Hello everyone, this is Shrikar here, and today I'll be showing a simple workflow that I have built with Gumloop, which essentially makes a call to an API and then extracts the fields from the corresponding response. If you really want to build some complex workflows, you probably will have to make some API calls of some sort to essentially make it like complete. So this example essentially kind of like helps you with that. So for example, the API I'm kind of like trying to do or use is right now a mock API, which essentially provides a list of all the to-do items with a user ID, title, and like what is the whether it's completed and the status of the to-dos, right? So let's look at how the workflow would be. For now, I'm just going to delete everything and then walk through the node setup. So let me just go to call API. This is essentially what I'm going to do right now. Take this API endpoint, provide the URL, and I'll just use get for this example. So one thing you can do is like when you do a run here, you can essentially like get the response from the API, which is like a list of all the responses from that API. But if you think of it, I was actually like a bit confused with this loop mode. I was assuming that when we kind of like enable the loop mode, it'll actually provide me a list, but looks like it's only for the input, not for the output. So in this case, let's say if I want to kind of extract all the titles from the to-dos, I can go to the JSON reader or JSON node, extract it. So in this case, I'm gonna just connect the API response to the JSON string, and if I run right now, what will happen is it'll probably give me an error. Let's try that. What is that? The issue is, yes, I didn't add the key here. That's probably why. If I click on title and then run again, this one will give me an error most likely. Yes. The reason is because in this case, as you can see, it's actually a list and not like a single item. And the JSON reader is essentially failing because it's not able to, it's being passed a list, whereas it's supposed to be an input parameter of like string. So the JSON reader can only take a string, but not a list. So if you enable this loop mode, now you should be able to just click on resume, click from here. So this essentially like resumes it from a particular stage instead of like running the whole workflow. As you can see now, you can see like all the titles are extracted. But for example, let's say for some reason you want to kind of like join the list together, you could just go to join list item. Should be here, pull that in. So just gonna copy it here. So as you can see, I can actually connect the list to a list. Then I can just say join by new line. And if I run right now, I will be able to get like all the lists of titles extracted from the API response and it provided to me as a join text here. So if you look at this, this has all the titles, like all the 200 titles from the API response. So I think this workflow, this essentially making a call and extracting the data from the API response is going to be very useful, especially when you don't have a certain integration built. As you know, like Gumloop is slowly building up a different type of nodes, and most of the time you will need to make a API call to make it more like usable or to make it more complete. So that's why I think like I just felt that like making a call and extracting the data would be really useful. So a simple workflow would be like depending on the response, if I want to kind of like trigger follow up further nodes, I could essentially do that. But that's the goal of this particular video tutorial. Do let me know if you have any more questions, and if you really like this type of content, please subscribe for more. Thanks.